I'm Ryan Brown, and this is the Unvarnished podcast. And today I have been spending the whole day at the Lyme Academy of Art in Old Lyme, Connecticut, which I have a weird history with, but this is actually my first time visiting. And we're going to talk to Kimberly Monson, who I believe you've been associated with it for longer than most around here, because it just really relaunched. One of my motivators for coming up here is to just let people know that it's relaunched and who's involved and the direction. Just briefly, my history with it is I was looking at coming here at one point, a long time ago, after I graduated the university. But to be honest, it wasn't very good. And then I had a student who was thinking of coming here, and I advised him not to because it wasn't very good. He did and didn't get much out of it, didn't have a good experience. And then it kind of got quiet, and I guess what had happened, and I don't think I'm revealing anything that a lot of people don't already know, but I think the Florence Academy came in at one point and was looking at taking over, and then they were looking at maybe selling it or turning it into something, which would have been tragic because it's the buildings are so beautiful. The community itself has a rich artistic history, so the fact that the school's here is amazing. And then I believe in 2019, I think, I got a call from you in the summer, and we just talked about my program at the Masters Academy of Art, and I wasn't like, I get those calls actually quite often to ask about the school, and I didn't know if you were looking to apply or what, but I always worry that I'm not recording. I am recording. All right. So I kind of forgot about the call because it was in the mix of just all the other potential students that call me, and then they put up the artistic directorship and announced that they're going to relaunch, which was super exciting. Again, because I had done some research into the place, I knew about the facilities and a little bit about the community. And so the idea that they would relaunch and, go more of an atelier direction was amazing, and so through applying for that, I got to do more research. I had the motivation to do more research into the area. They did hire Jordan Sokol and Amaya Garapiti, who are phenomenal, good friends of mine from a long time ago. Jordan I knew really well from Florence Academy, and then they hired Maura Rowe for the executive directorship. I got to spend some time with her last night and this morning, and she's brilliant. And I just, visiting the school and talking to them, seeing what they're doing, seeing the first year students that aren't even through their first year yet, it's brilliant. And I think that anyone that's looking to study academically, one of the reasons I wanted to come here and talk about it is to see where they were going, and they're going in a really great direction. And again, the campus is unbelievable. The resources are great. The board is very active. You have an executive director that's just so on point. She's amazing. And then Jordan and Maya at the head are they're both brilliant artists. And so, yeah, come here if you're looking on where to study. And we've got Kimberly Monson again, who is, if you want to tell us just a little bit about yourself. I'm sorry I'm prattling on so much.
No.
A little bit about yourself and maybe, how you helped kind of hold it together until they could finally relaunch. And then what your role is here, because you have a separate role that's also really interesting, that is something people should look into.
Well, I was a student here, so I started out in 1992. Should I say that too? And we were part of the first graduating class with the BFA.
But were you from originally Connecticut?
Yep.
Okay.
I was born here. I had lived in California for a while, but in high school and stuff. But then I ended up coming back here to sort of reorient myself, and I was one of those lost people. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a talent. I didn't have an objective. And I found myself just taking community college classes at 2 different schools because I couldn't even commit to one of them. So I took 2 different, schools. And I ended up taking mostly art classes with an art teacher who is, in one of the programs. And she said, well, you should really check out Lyme Academy. They just got accredited. And at least the credits will transfer if you decide that's what you want to do. And since I wasn't doing anything else, I figured, well, why not? Art school seems better than, doing nothing. So I'll try that. So I checked it out, and I got accepted, and I ended up coming, and I didn't even know what artists look like. I didn't know what an art career would look like.
Yeah.
I just knew that I liked the attention I got from doing the work, and I liked feeling accomplished. And what was really wonderful about the place was the founder, Elizabeth Gordon Chandler, and her husband, Lotsie de Garande, were 2 powerhouse sculptors. Of course, I didn't know who the heck they were. I had no context. But they showed an interest in me, and they genuinely wanted to celebrate accomplishments and give me the knowledge that they had. They were so generous with their time and their encouragement, and it was transformative. It sort of filled a hole of lots of things that I wasn't getting elsewhere, and before I knew it, I was taking all sculpture classes. I had been a painting major, and they were like, "Oh, you're a sculpture major." I'm like, "No, I'm a painter." And they're like, "No, you're a sculptor." And so I ended up meeting the tightest group of core friends here, as one does when they have an intimate experience in a small environment that's very concentrated and intense. And we were the first graduating class with the BFA when they got accredited to have a degree. They were like, "Oh, if you stay another year, you can get a degree." And I'm like, "Sure, I'll stay. Why not?" So we were the first graduating class, and at that point, it was still very ingrained in a community school. So you would have classes with professional artists who are just brushing up on anatomy and drawing with Dean Keller, who is an expert draftsman and anatomist, and you would be taking, painting classes with Dan Gano, who is a master colorist, and then you had, Peter Zallinger teaching you perspective because he was an illustrator with background, but he was also just a meticulously brilliant painter, and then you had the de Garandes that were powerhouses in the sculpture realm, and then it was just I had no idea what I was getting when I was here. And you had community students that took the same classes as the full-time artists and professional artists, and the sort of college-age students that were coming in and just trying to be artists. And so this environment created this nurturing, vibrant space of just amazing encouragement from all ends. And then you'd find out that somebody you were sitting next to was actually on the board because they loved the place so much that they really wanted to make sure they were fostering it in the right way. So it created this amazing environment of such mixed ages and mixed ability levels, but everyone was in the same classes, and everyone was having their own journey with it. And everyone was gaining their success against themselves and against expectations, which was really wonderful.
Yeah. And so you saw it because right when it got accredited, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was maybe the beginning of the downward slope. The connection with the university, the expectations, started to maybe degrade a little bit the quality of education. But not that that happened immediately.
No, it didn't happen. Actually, what happened was the degree started to take hold, and it did really well to, I want to say, maybe 2004, 2005. And it started to degrade more when Dean Keller passed away, and then Elizabeth Gordon Chandler passed away in 2006. So that's when that was sort of
people at the head have such a huge impact.
And there was still a community involvement at those points, and so it was actually gaining traction. People were donating property and money, and and there was this idea that the campus would expand and that there would be housing. There was a lot of growth potential at that point, and then. After they passed, the university idea or the college idea and the sort of diluting of the core classes became much more almost how do you say?
Just kind of took over.
Yeah, it sort of diminished the program because it was you have to take math, you have to take sociology, and it wasn't math according to artist, it wasn't sociology due to art, which they could have done a really wonderful slant with, because that is definitely part of the educational capacity. You can really expand on those things if you make them art-centric, but they didn't. And it was like, okay, I'm spending 2 years taking liberal arts classes and not taking studio classes. And what it did was it totally degraded the quality of the education. And then there were factions that wanted the school to become Yale. They wanted it to become RISD. And you cannot compare, you can't compete with a RISD or a Yale. You have to be what you are and play to your strengths, especially the size of this place and where it's located. There's no way to compete with that. And it becomes
history and funding.
You just can't.
There's no way.
And there was no way to become that. So, with a few things that happened, it just ended up getting into a little bit of trouble, and that's when the merge with University of New Haven happened, and that worked out for about 4 years, but it really wasn't a compatible school.
Okay, so the merger with the University of New Haven came later.
Yeah, it was in 2014.
Much later. Okay.
Yep. And there had been problems. There was a disconnect from the community between 2006 and 2014, where they basically cut out all their community classes, made it very difficult for community students to come in and take the curriculum. And so all of a sudden it was like there were no extra classes offered, there was no access to the community or artists that wanted to take a part-time. They were like, there's a post back, but they still wanted this level of commitment, and it was difficult to create that environment or that inclusion that so many artists just want to be part of a place that's special, that has a really good quality education, that has teachers that they want to learn from, and they had no access, and it was really tragic.
Yeah, what a roller coaster! Coming to a place, falling in love, finding your purpose in life, and walking through the halls here and seeing beautiful studio after beautiful studio. I can't imagine the heartbreak to see it deteriorate over time like that. And then there was a period of really 2 years where it was just empty. Right? They
pretty much
couldn't decide what to do, and you have all this unused, amazing space that used to have such a great energy, and it feels like maybe that's coming back.
Yeah, well, having artists in the building and artists in charge of the curriculum is exactly what you want. And with Jordan and Amaya coming in, that is what they're focusing on, and also just making sure people viewing this space see the potential of what the students are capable of doing in these beautiful spaces that offer the best of what any artist might expect from going to art school. All the studios, well, not all of them, but they have great space, but many of them have direct north light, which is the most consistent light for artists because it's not direct, it's cool, it's consistent, it gives the most longevity to your working time. So, and it's cool and blue, and it creates a wonderful light and shadow on the figure. And it gives enough space and it gives enough time, and it's quiet. Some people see that as a detriment, like, oh, you need to have amenities for students, and it's like, no, you need concentrated quiet time to focus on what you're doing without distractions, and really invest in yourself. And
it's still inspiring. It's not like, I mean, to some degree, it can be a monastic environment in that it is quiet, it is deadly serious, but there's just, everything is inspiring. I mean, walking around, all the casts, the master drawings on the wall, you've got a massive Bridgman drawing. The spaces themselves and the light is a place that you want to be. It just feels so good to,
you feel like an
to
artist
be in the
being
studio. Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of accessibility, I think about this a lot just because my school, the Masters Academy of Art in Utah, is in a small place. This is kind of a quiet, small town area feel, very similar, but you are very easily accessible to Boston, you were saying Providence, Rhode Island has a very artistic community, to New York. And so students that may choose to come here have far lower living expenses. The tuition here has been kept low. They do offer scholarships. You have a fantastic faculty already in place, and you have all the benefits of still being able to participate in events in both of those major cities. And I can't think of another place where you can have all that, right? A cost of living here is accessible to students. You're ideally not going to come out with massive debt to start off your artistic career, whereas New York, Boston, these other areas, if you live in New York, you're typically not going to go visit Boston very often, and vice versa. But here, you definitely are, and you still get the community, a very serious community of artists that are your immediate peers. And so in terms of all of the boxes you might want to check for an art school, this is it. It's a pretty magical place.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, and it's seeped in artistic history. So it's the birthplace of American Impressionism for a reason. The light here is incredible.
Yeah.
So everywhere you go, it looks like a painting, and probably is.
It really does.
I mean, Child Hassan painted the church. It's right there.
Yeah.
And we have a tree that everybody painted, and we have the Florence Griswold Museum on the same street. We have one of the oldest art associations on the same street. We have the Old Lyme Inn that's on the same street. They have jazz night. Like, there's a lot here in this immediate vicinity that you have access to, immediate access. And it's a beach community, so when school is in session, there are beach houses that are accessible for students to rent and live in, which is really, really nice. It's small enough so you can get everywhere. You don't get too lost. And the highway is right here. Boston's that way. New York's that way. It's an amazing location that's seeped in an artistic history that is I mean, you don't find it anywhere else, honestly. And so we really need to celebrate that and capitalize on that. But I mean, there are so many ways to access this program too. We have the core program with Jordan and Amaya, and it's very intense and rigorous, and you will learn, and it's an amazing program. But if you want to try, sort of try on being an artist, or shake the rust off, or kind of ease your way back in, our continuing education program offers both a full-time program and part-time program access, where all the students are, fine artists, and professional artists, student artists, second career artists can all be in the same environment, taking the same courses, and it's painting, drawing, sculpture, printmaking, and you get a studio space, and there's a composition course that shows you the objective of what you would use the studio courses for, to make paintings and make sculptures that are meaningful to you. So there's a lot of ways to access the program that people can, to participate in that's wonderful, and we're really opening back up to the community and having community events and making our campus sort of like the town green for the community to feel like they can be part of it too. We had a wonderful tree lining sort of, it was like a party, you know, but we had all the local nonprofits all on the lawn. We had, Maura was brilliant in organizing this whole event.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had fire pits and the school bands playing, and one of the participants from the Eastern Connecticut Ballet, she was like, this is like a Hallmark movie. It's like, and people were like, now I'm ready for Christmas. Like,
yeah.
It was just like, and speaking of Hallmark movies, lots of them are filmed here. We've had 2 filmed on the street in the last 2 years.
Wow.
Like, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it really is, I don't know, it's idyllic. You know?
It's a magical place. And I wish I could. I filmed a little bit around the studios, just some short shots that I hope to share. You know, there's the Instagram as well. I think that shows some nice shots of the studios and the light. But it is a place. I mean, you walk around and it feels really good to be here, and and then the added programs that you're talking about. It does have, in talking to Jordan earlier, it is a very strict, straightforward atelier academic method that they follow. Both of them are not just great artists, but brilliant teachers as well, incredibly engaged and you know, really care about students. I've seen that, you know, for a long time. And so for the people that are looking for that strict, intensive 2-3 year program, that's here, and they have everything they need to be successful. And then the community programs for those that may want to do part-time. And, you know, having run a school, a lot of people want that. They want to be a part of the environment. They want to brush up on their skills. They maybe they don't have the time or interest to dive into a 3-year atelier program, but they still want the information. They still want, you know, bits of that, and that's what you're in charge of, right?
Right. Yeah. And
that's
we have a
vein
student
that you run.
We have a student that moved here from Hawaii, and he's not into committing the full time, but he wants to be part of a curriculum and part of a program. So he is in the continuing education program, learning alongside students that are doing the year-long portfolio prep program, which is also the CE program. And the interaction between him and the students that are in the portfolio prep component, it enriches the environment. They feed off of each other. They're learning from each other, and it sets up such a wonderful dynamic. And then we have the art history class that all of the students share, so they're all interacting all as one group. So it's you know, we have a wonderful art history teacher, Emily Weeks, who's also like an expert in Jerome, and we just got a bronze collection that's just, oh my gosh.
I got a little bit of a film of it.
Did you get to see that?
Oh
my, I am like out of control excited about that. It's something that could be very well celebrated, having those types of works accessible in a place like this in their domestic sizes. There's the smaller, they're the reduction sizes of the old master works that were from the last century. So it's absolutely breathtaking that we have access to these beautiful, pristine pieces. Oh my gosh, there's a dying gull. There's the houdans. Oh my, it's unbelievable. I am so excited. I am so excited. And we're going to soon have a wonderful art store here. We're going to be opening that hopefully in March. And it's art products and art supplies that artists actually want to buy. Because everybody's like, oh, you go to Michael's, like you get the brush that does this after 5 minutes, and and it's just not ideal. And otherwise, you're ordering everything online, and it may or may not be exactly what you want, and then you have to research and then get the right. And here it's like, well, what would you like to order? And what would you use if you had the ideal scenario? Or what do you wish you had access to? And you could just drop in and buy it. And that's what's going in the store, which is going to be fantastic.
Which is a beautiful space as well. And I mean, that's so beneficial because you have the interaction because, I mean, there's several different studios, but everybody's on the same campus. And so the people that are doing the academic atelier can interact with the people that are maybe doing part-time or the continuing education program. And so it's creating a really interactive dialogue among students in an incredibly inspiring space. I mean, everything is art. You step foot onto the campus, and it's just like, this is my artistic home, right? I feel comfortable here.
Yeah.
When I walk into the New York Academy of Art, when I walk into the Grand Central Atelier, it's like there's a familiarity to it, and I think anyone wanting to, feel like they're a part of that community in any number of different ways. Like you said, there's a great printmaking facility that you guys have. There's great sculpture facility. I think you're working towards having a full-time sculpture program in the future. Art materials, lectures, events. It's really, if I sat down, which I did over the last 14 years, and wrote down my ideal, this is it. And
we have 2 gallery spaces that are
yeah,
really wonderful,
beautiful
and they're
spaces.
gorgeous.
Yeah,
and it's there's a lot here. And what's nice is that we've tried to integrate all of the programming to a certain extent. With our full-time CE students have studio space in the same space as the core students.
Yeah.
So they can look and learn from each other and be inspired by each other and what's being accomplished. And you can go back and forth between programs if you're here, because you can enroll by trimester. So it's really, you can come for a trimester, you can come for a year, or you can come for 3 years.
Yeah.
But you can start out, say, in a CE program and then decide that you really want to commit and be part of the core program,
Yeah.
and you just do it.
Yeah.
You get accepted into the program, of course. But it's that's what you're looking to do is to really be part of the culture of this place and really maximize your artistic potential. And it's everyone's journey to take on their own. So you're learning for yourself,
right?
And it's great. And like I said, after it being like a void and terrifying for a few years,
Yeah.
and it truly was, it's so nice to have artists back in the building and students wandering around, and you find we found a rogue sculpture head just sitting in the doorway, and it's like, the student left it there. But it's nice to see that stuff. It's here they are, and it's getting back to where it needs to be, and people are excited about it, and the community's back involved, and we're getting students from everywhere, and it's lovely, and I get calls from parents going, my child doesn't what to do after high school, and we're terrified to send them to art school. Will you take them and see if they really want to do this? And so we take these students, or we had a student that her first semester wasn't working out in college, and she wanted to kind of see where she was, so she's here now, and she feels really comfortable, and we're really tailoring this education so that it works for her. And it's nice to have a safe place for art students to land and feel like there's not a lot of pressure if they succeed or don't succeed, because that actually maximizes their potential to succeed. Because, like you said, there's not this financial burden or this time restraint or this, pressure for, liberal arts classes taking up their space and failing in grades and papers. And they come here, they're in the studio, the homework they do is their own work.
Yeah, they're able to develop the discipline that has a practical application to self-development. It's when you come here, it really is all about you. How to help the individual become a better, reach a greater potential for their own goals.
Yep.
If
you want to be a professional artist, absolutely you can be one coming out of this place.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to, or even as a second career, I love the second career artist. That I always wanted to be an artist. I had a career, I had a family, I had this or had that, and now they're like, I really want to spend this time for myself to see what my life will look like as an artist. And when you get them looking through their portfolio and they want to do a juried exhibition, and you're like, do that one, do that one, do that one, and they're like, and they get into a show, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden they're off and running, and now they have a studio in their house, and they're showing regularly, and
Yeah.
they're winning awards, and they're thrilled.
Yeah.
And they sell their first piece or their third piece, or now they're selling work. It's like, and being part of that journey for that person, that artist is I mean, it's just so fulfilling. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing to, like I say, it's always about making the tribe bigger.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I've had a lot of students who have had the second career thing. You know, they raised kids. I, always drew as a kid. I studied art in college, and got married, had a family, got a job, whatever. But I always wanted to come back to this. And then they wonder, is it too late? Maybe they're in their mid-50s, mid-60s. They're not sure, if they belong, or can I do this? And then you get in a really good program with great mentors that just kind of hand you a flashlight to rummage around in the dark.
Such a good analogy.
And you're able to make such rapid progress, no matter really what your age. I mean, I've seen people in their mid-70s make incredible progress, just with a little bit, maybe twice a week or something, where they can focus on it, and they're serious. They're not coming at this like a wishy-washy 18-year-old that might want to be a drummer, or might want to be an author or something, and I'll test this out or whatever. They've been thinking about this for a long time, and they sometimes are often the most dedicated students, and add an amazing vibe to the environment, because they're so serious.
They raise the level for the younger ones too.
Yeah.
I mean, and they show what thoughtfulness can do.
Yeah.
And it inspires the just out of high school or the newly out of college set into saying, wow, I could be a professional artist. I mean, that's what it did for me being here. When I saw the professional artists, they come back to school. They come back to school to learn things. You're a professional. Why would you do that? And they're like, well, there's stuff I want to learn. There's stuff I need to do with I have new eyes now, and I want to reevaluate where I am, and I'm coming here to make sure I'm doing it right. And I was like, oh my God, I could actually be a professional artist. There are people that are actually professional artists, and I can do that.
Right.
And sometimes you need to be shown.
Yeah.
And
having teachers that themselves are professional artists. When you go to a university, oftentimes the professors do paint, but their main job is being a professor, right? This is their sort of bread and butter. And here it's the artists, the teachers are artists first. And so you're learning any number of skills, not just, the fundamentals of drawing and painting and sculpture, but you're also learning, what it looks like to be an artist. How do you budget your time? How do you frame things? What are galleries that I could look at? What are the different outlets where I could show my work? What does it look like to deal with a client or work through a commission? You have the access to the people that do it all the time. And in terms of learning the business of art, that's something that isn't taught very well to artists. And so, sometimes the best you can hope for is just surrounding yourself with people who know what they're doing.
And are successful.
Been down that path. I mean, this is... I feel like I'm starting to go round and round again, and just praising the space, but it is a magical place. In fact, I'm thinking in a little while. I've been thinking about it for a long while, but in a short period of time, we might relocate somewhere. But this is at the top of my list, just to be around. an environment like this, to be able to come get something at the store and to come to the shows.
And we have open drawing and open
right,
painting sessions like 3 times a week. We also have an open printmaking sessions that if you have a little bit of printmaking experience, you can come and use the printmaking facilities. And they're nice presses. I mean, and people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy you opened this place up. It's nice. The access is great.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking for a community
You do any
like
printmaking?
this. I do. I've done some etching, and I wish I took the time to do more, because it's such a unique, amazing medium. If I had access to a printmaking studio, I probably would do more. But yeah, I mean, for me, even just being an artist and looking for a community, it's appealing to be around it. I mean, I guess that's it. I just wanted to record a little bit about the school and get it from an insider, and let people know about the relaunch of the Lyme Academy, because I'm super excited about it.
Yeah,
So.
well, it's nice to be finally back on track, and and doing what was intended by the founder. Was about making sure that there was solid skills available for those who wanted and needed it, and and also because she wanted students and artists to be able to make the things they wanted to make.
Yeah.
And she didn't want the excuse to be because they didn't know how.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, that's what I felt when I came back from the Florence Academy to Utah. I just saw people floundering around in all the misinformation you get from university systems or high school or whatever, and I thought it's so much easier than that. To be able to clearly explain things in a way that nobody was used to, that nobody had experienced. It just felt like I couldn't not share that. You know what I'm saying? Because I was in it. I was in the dark. I had no idea what I was doing. Went through the university, and there were some benefits, of going to a university. I don't want to say that they're useless, but I didn't make hardly any progress in my skills. I was exposed. I did illustration, so I was exposed to the history of illustration, and all. I'll always be grateful for that. But I was still totally in the dark in terms of skill, and then experiencing something so clear and progressional and organized as Florence Academy, I just I felt like I was given a bucket of flashlights and I could just hand them out to people who were rummaging around in the dark. So I mean, this is amazing. So if you want, because you're a brilliant sculptor, do you want to tell people where they can find your work? Instagram, website?
Yep, I'm on Instagram, Kimberly Monson Artist. I have a website, KimberlyMonson.com. You can always find me through lymeacademy.edu. And if you have any questions about the program, I do answer the phone and I do respond to emails. So I'm very accessible. And if you
and they can find all that information on
the website, lymeacademy.edu. So that's us.
Yeah, so look it up. The Lyme Academy on Instagram as well. They
we have a Facebook page.
Page, everything.
Yep.
And apply for the upcoming trimesters.
So we have the trimesters. So you can, if you want to try out the CE to see if you like it. So we call it the tasting menu. We have the spring trimester coming up. It starts at the end of March. And then we also have the core programming. You can apply for that if you know that you're committed. The application process is now, so send in your applications.
Awesome.
And then, but we also have a big push for fall. We're also we've got some exciting summer programming. We've got youth programming, pre-college and middle school academies. We also have an abridged core program for the summer that you can try out. We also have some really wonderful workshops by some really really amazing artists, and they're on our workshop page on the website. And we'll have events that will be popping up. And we have an exciting mask making workshop from a special effects makeup artist who's a phenomenal sculptor, and he was on the sci-fi channel show Face Off, and he was one of the finalists. So we've got a lot of good stuff coming up. We're really excited. Yeah. So, yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
I'm so happy to finally meet you.
Yes, we've talked on the phone a number of
Yes,
times,
so many
had great
times.
conversations, but it's nice to meet you in person.
Yeah, this is great. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind it if you were our neighbor. So,
Yeah, well,
think about it.
it's very possible. I've only been here like a day, but I really like it. So, all right, thank you.
You're so welcome.